You know where that is?
No, I don't.
Corinth, Tennessee?
I don't.
You know where Savannah is, don't you?
I do.
Well, Corinth is across the river going towards Adamsville.
Okay. Okay.
And when I grew up, we lived there till I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And we came to Corinth.
Wow.
And there's only one church there then, and it was a Methodist church.
Okay.
And one graveyard, we called it graveyard.
Uh-huh.
And the community was thick. We had a lot of good people there, but we left down there when I was 7.
Now you were born in Tennessee.
Yeah.
What
From Tennessee,
what was your birthday?
1913.
And you are 100 years old now.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And you've lived here in...
And I didn't think about living this long, and I didn't want to. But you know, you live as long as the Lord wants you to.
Well, He must have wanted you to live
Yes,
for quite
sir.
a while.
And I feel good. I'm not sick, but my balance is left, and I have to use a wheelchair.
What did your family do? Tell me about your parents.
Your parents.
Well, their
What did they do?
name, Hale.
Okay. What did they do? Well,
We farmed.
farmers. Here around Corinth?
I wasn't around Corinth much then.
Okay.
After I married, we lived out Biggersville. I married a boy out there.
Okay.
And we lived in Biggersville for several years till he got disabled.
Okay.
And he couldn't carry on the farm anymore. We had cattle.
Okay.
And we sold our farm out there and moved over here. Well, we've been here 50-something years in this house.
My goodness. My goodness.
But I don't remember just when, but we've been here 50-something years.
What was it like living on a farm back then?
Oh, it was fun. I liked it. That's all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And we built us a house out there, and I worked out some. You know, when they raised cotton,
Uh-huh.
I picked cotton some. I didn't have to do a lot of work on the farm, but I just loved it. I'd get out there with my mother-in-law. We'd pick cotton in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and in the mornings, we'd stay at home and get ready for the noon meal.
Okay.
And we had chickens, and but I was always afraid of things that way. I never did handle them.
Afraid of what? Of chickens?
Huh?
What were you afraid of?
Well, they'd fly and flop around and peck you. I never did handle them much, but I helped raise them.
Okay.
Every spring, we went to Boonville, I believe, and bought chickens. We fixed us a little pen for them and raised chickens. And I'd furnish my mother and daddy and sister, and they'd come out there and get chickens. And when we worked, we'd have a garden every year.
Okay.
And my husband put out tomatoes.
Okay.
And my oldest sister would come out there and gather the tomatoes, take them in town, and give them to people.
Was it a hard life on a farm?
Hard life on a farm.
Hard life. No.
Was it?
No, we had a good life out there.
What did you enjoy doing out there besides farming?
What did he do?
What did you enjoy there?
I just enjoyed all of it. I didn't know any better.
Okay. You mentioned that you would make the noon meal every day.
Now see, I can't hear.
Okay. You mentioned that you would make the noon meal each day? Make like lunch or dinner? Well, what would you make for dinner?
What?
When you made the noon meal, when you fixed the meal?
In the meals?
Sure, what would you do?
Oh, I just cooked everything.
Uh-huh.
We had my mother-in-law, where they lived at their home, they had pecan trees.
Okay,
And we'd pick up pecans and get them cracked
okay.
and pick them out, and I made pecan pies.
They were good.
Delicious. But I never did make cakes and things like that. I baked pies.
Okay.
And there's one cake I'd make, and that was lemon nut. It took a quart of pecans, and I made that lemon nut every year. And after I moved here, I don't know, but anyway, we got pecans somewhere, and we put them in the freezer. And one year I made 16 lemon nut cakes. Give them to our doctors, our nurses, our friends, just different ones. And my sister, oldest sister, she didn't bake cakes like that. She cooked coconut cakes and chocolate cakes.
Wow.
But I made the nut cake, and she'd give them away. We never did just sell them. We just give them to our people and our friends.
Okay.
But I never did have to do a lot of hard work on the farm. Now, while we was growing up, my daddy, he worked on the farm, and we'd help him some. But we were so young back then we couldn't do much. But we'd work in the cotton patch. You know, then you had to hoe it out. And when you gathered the cotton, you had these big old sacks on, and you'd gather the cotton.
Wow.
And we did things like that, but my daddy never was hard on us. He never was. He'd tell us what we could do, but if we couldn't do it, he never did make us. That's the way he was. And he was a good father, but he couldn't spank us, he couldn't whip us. He'd tell us what we could do and what we couldn't do, but he couldn't mistreat us in any way.
Excellent.
You know, and it was. Now my mother could, but my daddy never could mistreat us in any way. We had a good life growing up.
What church were you a member of out
The
there?
Methodist church down there.
Okay.
But out here, we went to the Methodist and the Baptist churches, just any church we could go to, till the Pentecostal church came here.
Okay.
And we went to the Pentecostal church for years. And then when the Assemblies of God come here, my mother always liked the Assemblies of God church, so we went there. And that's where I've been ever since. And all my friends are gone. I don't have any old friends in the church anymore. But they's a little younger than me, but they're all gone.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
But my husband, he loved to work in the church. And after he got disabled, and we couldn't stay on the farm, we moved over here. And he started working in the Assembly of God. And they depended on him a lot, but he had help. But when they built the church, he bought scene to buy a lot with an old house on it. Well, he got that house tore down, the lot cleaned off, and the church built. And we just had the sanctuary then, because there wasn't enough people going that could build a full church. But it's a nice church now.
Okay. Have you traveled much out of Mississippi? Have you been out?
Traveled much?
Travel, no.
No.
He loved to go a lot, but we didn't. We didn't travel much. He had a bad back, got hurt in service,
Okay.
and we had to go to hospital a lot.
Was he in World War II? World War II?
World War II? Did he serve?
Yeah, That's where we went. And they never, he always wanted to go overseas. And when they go overseas, they wouldn't let him go. Because one group, or whatever you call them, went, they all got killed but one man when they got overseas. But they wouldn't let him go. And the next group that he trained with, I don't know how many, well, anyway, the groups that he was trained in, about 4 or 5, before they dismissed him.
Wow. How many children did you have?
I don't have any children.
No children at all. So.
No, we don't have a one. And my oldest sister never did have any children. And I never did. And my sister just younger than me just had one son. And the sister just younger than her had one son. And my youngest sister had one son. And that's all the grandchildren were.
Small family.
Just couldn't have them. It just wasn't there.
Excellent.
So, all of my family's gone but one sister. And she's 93. And she's in pretty good health, but not as good as I am. I have to go to my heart doctor. I had a heart attack back before my husband died. And we were eating our evening meal, and we'd been to the store, and we decided we wanted a salad for our supper. And we were eating salad, and I started hurting. Well, I got up and took Alka-Seltzers and different things that I needed, I thought. Didn't do me any good. And I just got worse, and I come over and sat down and said, "Oh, in the hospital, the hospital." And he got me to the hospital, and they thought I was going to die, and I did too. But oh, I was suffering awful. They gave me a shot, and it didn't ease me. And the boy we knew worked out there, and he said, "Oh, I've given her another shot, enough for a horse." He said she ought to get easy now. And I did. The pain left me, and they took me to a room, and I've never had a pain since.
Excellent. How long ago was that?
Well, he's been gone 14 years, and that was several years before he died.
I see.
And I haven't had another heart pain, nothing, but I still go to the heart doctor. And I said to the nurse one day, I said, "Is it necessary that I take these pills?" And she said, "Well, you'll know it if you don't." And so I kept taking them. And so I go every 3 months for a checkup. And they never found nothing. They run a test every once in a while. And she wanted to send me to the hospital one day. And get on that machine you walk on.
Treadmill?
Huh?
A treadmill?
Yeah, a treadmill. And I said, I can't go to the hospital. I said, I don't have a family now. Nobody to go with me. And I said, just doctor me here the best you can. I'm old, and I'll be satisfied. She said, all right. And that's what she's done. But next time I go in December, she's going to run 3 tests. Well, I don't know what they are. And they want to put me up on the table. Well, I can't get on the table. And the nurse, she'll say, the one that does it, she'll say, I'll help you. I said, yeah, but you'll let me fall, and I'm not going to fall. I don't want a broke bone.
No.
And she'll say, oh, we'll make it.
And I'm sure you will. You'll be just fine.
You can have a lot of experiences with nurses and doctors.
I've had a
But
few.
now that's all. I go to a foot doctor to get my toenails cut, because I can't do that. They're tough.
Okay.
You know, when you get old, they get thicker and tough. And I go every 3 months and have that done. So it's just no pain or nothing. And to my heart doctor. And if I have to, I go to a medical doctor. And I don't know a doctor here in town except that one doctor, and he's getting old. But I heard that he was going to retire, and I said to one of his nurses, I said, "Is Dr. Wells going to retire?" She said, "Oh no." I said, "Well, I don't know what I'd do if he did." But he don't have to give me nothing either.
Wow.
He'll run a blood test to see if anything's wrong. That's it. I'm well blessed.
You are blessed.
I am blessed.
What do you think has caused you to be this healthy this long?
What?
What has helped you be so healthy, do you think?
I don't know.
Just
You know, I had pneumonia 8 years ago.
wow.
And my sister, that I said was 93, she's back in her 80s then. She took care of me. I stayed by myself at night when they dismissed me from the hospital. And she'd come every morning, fix my breakfast, and then every day at noon. And took care of me. So when I began to get a lot better, she put me on. Well, let that aside. It's just left me. Insure.
Okay.
And I've been taking that ever since. And I haven't had another cold. I haven't had pneumonia. I haven't had nothing.
Must work.
And I say it has really kept me going. And I take one bottle a day, and it's called Insure Plus. Got everything in it for your body.
It's working.
Yeah.
Working well.
It's going to keep me here a while, I reckon.
Back
But
on,
other than that, that's all I know.
back on the farm for a minute. When you were growing up on the farm, I'm guessing they didn't have electricity when you were younger there on the farm.
What?
Did you have electricity on the farm?
No.
Okay.
Not when I was young.
Sure.
We had kerosene lamps
Okay.
in the house. And my daddy kept a nice farm all the time, and the barns and everything was just as good as the house was. And there was blacks that lived up on the hill at the back of us. We had a big lot for the cattle, and so that we visited.
Okay.
And every year, we'd call them uncle and aunt, the old ones.
Sure.
They had a daughter that'd come every year and hold a revival. And they fixed a brush arbor. You know all about that?
No. Tell me about it.
Well, they put up poles and some of the timber across, and cut trees down and get the brush and put the top over it. They called it the brush arbors.
Okay.
And she'd come every year and hold a revival for the blacks. And she was good. And they'd fix one side for the whites. We'd go, but it'd be my uncle and aunt would take us. We was real young. But we had a lantern. A lantern, that's what we'd go by.
Excellent.
But they didn't have electricity back then where we lived.
Okay.
Well, they had it in town, but we didn't have it out there then. But they have it everywhere now.
Sure. Tell me about the revival. What was that like?
Well, I can't tell you much about it because the way the blacks worshipped, they sang and pretty loud, you know, and they'd kind of dance around. And when she started to preach, she'd preach 2 or 3 hours.
Okay.
And we wouldn't stay for that. We just stayed for the first part of it. And they stay up to midnight.
Dancing and singing.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and preaching. She dressed in white all the time.
What was her name? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Was she-
All those names has left me.
Was she black preacher or a white preacher?
Huh?
Was she a black preacher?
Oh, black.
Black preacher.
Yeah.
And you would go,
And we'd go, the white people was invited.
okay,
And one side was for the whites, the other side, as long as they come.
sure,
But then they'd fill up with the blacks.
okay,
And it's two couples, two families that was older, and we call them uncle and aunt, whatever their name was.
mm-hmm.
And well, they'd visit us, we'd visit them.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you didn't have running water in the house at that
No,
time? Outhouses?
we had a well. My daddy had a well dug
Mm-hmm.
and a pump put in it.
Okay,
And he had a gasoline engine that he'd pump. And he had a concrete, concrete, whatever you call it, where we kept water.
okay,
And that water was like ice. And that's the way we kept our milk and butter and everything sitting out there till he got a refrigerator. Then he'd buy 50 pounds of ice every other day
wow.
to go in that. And that's what we used for.
So it was an ice box, really?
Yeah, icebox, that's what we used. We needed, well, one side was for the ice and this side was for the vegetables or whatever we wanted to keep.
And cooking, was that a wood stove?
Wood
Used-
stove.
Used wood?
A big, nice stove with an oven up here, and down here was a place for the water,
Mm-hmm.
and we had hot water all the time.
Wow. Okay. When,
My daddy wasn't slow when it come to fixing things that we needed in the house.
sure.
And reservoir, that's what it's called, for water.
Okay.
And reservoir, and what did I say this was?
The oven.
Oven up
Okay.
here, and then it was 4 eyes down here
Okay.
on the stove. And my mother was a wonderful cook, and she knew just how hot to have the stove and everything for everything.
Wow.
And she made biscuits every day, cornbread every day, and see, we had to churn the milk back then. We'd let it clabber and churn it and make butter.
Wow. So you
And
pretty
that's-
much took care of yourself, didn't you?
Huh?
Pretty much took care of yourself as a family.
Took care of your needs as a family.
Who took over the needs?
You did.
You did. You took care of yourself.
Well, I did some.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, when I was growing up, I always wanted to clean house.
Okay.
And I cleaned my mother's house every weekend. When I was 9 years old, when I was 10 and 12, back then you had beds you took down. I'd take those beds down, I'd dust them, clean them, air the quilts and everything, put them back up.
Wow. Where did you go to school?
Always just had a little one teacher school out there then. We was in the country, but we had some good teachers. And the ones that had cars that could go to other schools, high school, well, their daddy took them to high school in West Corinth.
Okay.
That's where the high school was then.
Did your family have a car?
We did later years, but we didn't at first, when we first moved out there. No, we just had a mules in a wagon, and we didn't go anywhere much then. When we had to go very far, we walked. And we walked to school about a mile, but we did that every day when the school was going on. Everything was nice. We enjoyed it. We didn't know anything else to do.
Excellent. And did you go to high school there?
Not out there.
Okay.
Now my daddy, later years, bought a car with a rumble seat. You remember that?
Yes, I
The
do.
little seat in the back. Well, we had that car a long time. and then he bought a Dodge car, and he kept a nice car from then on. And then later years, we moved to Corinth in town a while, and he worked for the city, and that's our latest years.
When you were a child out there, and there were other people around to play with, what did children do to stay?
You have to tell me what he says.
What did children do for fun? What did you play?
Oh, out there we just had games that we played.
Okay. Like
We'd
what?
get on the jumping board, we'd jump. It's a wonder we hadn't killed ourselves. And then we'd fix playhouses. We'd fix us a fence around a place and fix us some little furniture out of rocks and sticks and things. And we played in the woods. The woods was at the edge of the house. Well, it wasn't bad, but we called it the woods lot.
Okay.
And we'd fix us little game rooms like that.
Was it fun out there?
Yeah.
And you enjoyed living out there?
Oh yeah, fun. We enjoyed. We didn't know anything else to do but enjoy it. And on weekends, we'd clean up and get ready, and didn't have to go back to work or anything. And we'd visit, and then on Sunday we'd go to church.
Okay. By visit, you mean you'd go to friends' houses, or
Fun.
Where would you go to visit?
Our neighbors. We
Okay.
had neighbors. You know, the houses was pretty close, and we had gravel roads. And my daddy, the farm we had was large, and we had across the road in front of our house was a pasture,
Okay.
and we had cows out there. And when we get ready to milk, we milk cows then. We just go to the pasture and they just stop. We'd milk them. And when we get ready to feed them and anything, my daddy'd bring them over to the barn and feed them.
Wow.
And always fun. We didn't know any better.
Sure. I'm not sure there is any better.
Can we have family members in the Civil War?
Everything was nice back then. My mother and daddy was nice, and my mother's family was Methodist. All of them was Methodist. Her mother and her mother's brothers, these ministers.
Okay.
She had an uncle that was a Methodist minister and a nephew. They came out here since we've been living here. Since we've been living in town, the first Methodist church down here had my uncle to hold a revival, and then the nephew too.
Excellent. Excellent.
That hasn't been too awful long ago, but it's been since we've been in town. And that's our family were all Methodists.
One of the things that interests us here is the Civil War, the battlefield out there at Shiloh. Okay.
Shiloh.
Shallow.
Yeah.
Oh
you live at
yeah.
the battlefield.
We didn't live far from Shallow. We'd visit that place just ever so often.
Did any of your ancestors fight in the war?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, but not that I know of.
Okay.
My daddy and mother used to tell me about the war up there, but I don't reckon they had anything in it or anything.
Sure. They
Not
would.
any of my uncles had uncles or nephews or anything, cousins. I don't reckon they's old enough to be.
Right. Maybe your grandfather's generation, but not your father's, would have been old enough.
We'd still go up there if we could, but we're too old now. We can't go.
Well, you seem to be doing pretty well.
Huh?
You look like you're doing pretty well.
Well, I am. I'm doing fine. I just can't get around. And I don't have a family now to take me anywhere.
Sure.
All of my husband's people are gone. And all of mine. I've got a nephew here in town. He's 73 years old. And then I have a niece that lives between here and Shiloh. And she's 84. And her brothers, one of them lives in California, and the other one lives in Columbus, Mississippi. And they're all just a little younger than she is.
Excellent.
And that's my nephews and my niece. And I think that's all I have besides on my side. My nephew lives here in town.
Tell him about you and your sister singing.
Well, that's far away there. I don't remember that too well, but we started singing together. No training. We was in the country at that time. And my sister went to a singing school, my oldest sister, and learned to play the piano by notes. You know, she wasn't one of these up-to-date pianists like they have now. But she could play into the songs that was shake notes back then. She just learned it like everything. Well, when she went to work here in town, we were young. She wasn't too old, about 20, I guess. She'd come home every weekend and bring a new song for us to learn. And we set up Saturday night and learned that song. Come to church the next morning and sing. They'd have us to sing at church every Sunday morning, and we knew that song by heart. And well, it took us that long to learn it. We had some beautiful songs, and back then they sang at churches and funerals and different things, and we sang for nearly every funeral that Mac Peters had back then.
Wow.
And we had a funeral one weekend over at West Corinth Tabernacle. We called it Tabernacle, Pentecostal church. And we knew the undertakers and all, boys and all that worked for them. And they had this funeral over there at the church. And this boy, I don't remember his name, told his mother, says, "Mother, the Hale sisters are going to sing for that funeral." And she said, "Well, good." And they didn't bother us to sing for them because they wanted us to, and they'd tell us what they wanted sung, we'd sing it.
That sounds like fun. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It was. Excellent.
We met a lot of people like that, and we loved them, and we enjoyed singing for them. We knew most of the people, and they knew us.
It seems to me that everybody here in Mississippi is happier than most people other places. Why is that?
I don't know.
You seem quite happy. Everybody
Yeah.
seems happy to live here.
We were pretty happy growing up, and people we met, but all that's kind of left me.
Doesn't seem to have.
Yeah, it has. It's left me a lot.
You know, you said you didn't have much to say, but you told us a great deal, and we really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us.
That's all I know. I can't tell you anything else.
You know a tremendous amount that we don't know. What it was like living then, living back there and living on that farm. And that's so important to know about and to remember and to get recorded. I'm going to turn the camera off now.
Okay,
Okay.
that'll suit me.
Okay. You know I've recorded that, right? And that was
Yeah,
okay
that's
with you?
what she told me. And I didn't want it recorded.
But it was okay that we did, wasn't it? Sure. It's okay that we recorded this?
Is it okay that we recorded it?
No, no.
Okay. But you don't mind. I'm going to turn it
I've
off.
had enough.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Well,
You were
I
wonderful.
hope it don't go any further.
No, it won't. This is just for local people. You were wonderful.
Well, thank you.